part of your RSS feed. And again, your RSS feed is the thing that Apple Pods, that Google Play, that Stitcher, and all these different podcatching services latch onto. It's how people subscribe through those things to your show. It's how your show gets updated. Very important for your podcast to get an audience. If you pay for SoundCloud, if you pay for Podbean, Podomatic, other things, Libsyn, they will give you one automatically. They'll generate one for you, and all you gotta do is copy and paste it into the form that you're filling out to get your podcast on Apple or wherever. Now, if you're using Archive, it's not gonna give you one of those. You gotta make your own. And I found that the least sort of technically challenging way and kind of easiest way to do that is just to make a free WordPress.com blog for podcasts. And it will have in its settings places for you to go in and put your album art, your podcast description, your title, all that sort of thing. And then each time you publish a blog post and put it in the podcast category or whatever category you create, as for your podcast files. Each time you publish under that, then it will update this RSS feed, this podcast RSS feed that it has, and that's the feed that you'll take and place into those forms. And then, the downside to doing all downside, you're not spending money, but the sort of downside to doing all this the free way is you're going a lot of places to do a lot of things. You're in Audacity, then you're updating Archive, and then you're updating WordPress, and then you're on social. So you're going a lot of different places, but I guess that's sort of, you pay the price in time that you don't pay in money. So keep that in mind. And we are rapidly approaching out of time. So I think the last thing to mention is now that you've done all this, it's really just a matter of marketing yourself, going to the right places, finding the fan communities, be it in forums, YouTube comments, talking to other podcasters, getting on Twitter, give your podcast its own Twitter account, getting in Reddit discussions, promoting your podcast there. And just finding ways to interact with things, with people rather, that are already a fan of what you're talking about, and getting them to understand that you're here, you're making a cool new product. People would have a good time if they heard what you had to say. So that is all that I have. Again, here's my contact information if you want to ask me about this further. Does anybody have, I think we're almost at a quarter till, so I don't want to keep you all super late, but do y'all have questions about anything?
How is Spotify as a podcasting platform sort of thought of podcasting people?
Well, it's more and more of the major podcasts seem to be going that way. I think it is going to be a bigger and bigger player as we go along. I admit I haven't looked into this super recently, but a few months ago I was like, okay, how does one get their podcast on Spotify? This is becoming a thing, and it was weird. You have to there's not a process. There's not okay. So with Apple, all you fill out the form. They say, 24 hours or whatever, you'll be in the database. You'll be in the system as long as there's something in your feed. Spotify is exercising some quality control over what they put on their service. So you basically have to sell your podcast to them in a way, and then they determine yes or no. sort of like if you're trying to get verified on Twitter, you can fill out the information and then it's like you're sending it to the ether, you may never hear back from them. So they might change that process at some point, but this is a good thing to look into and keep in mind. And again, I think it is, whether or not people are actually listening to a bunch of podcasts on Spotify, most of the like bigger podcasts that I listen to are moving there. They're getting their stuff on there. Okay, yeah, sure.
Is the MP3 64K, is that the industry standard?
I actually don't know. I want to say that I read those settings in the Audacity manual, like when I was looking for, or maybe I just was triangulating and found a bunch of different people talking about it on blogs and stuff. Because yeah, I was wondering the same thing about just how to get my file size down. I'm actually unsure of what the industry standard is for podcasts or radio. Like, there's a sports podcast that I listen to, Dan Levisard show on ESPN, and they release every day 4 episodes. For 4 hours they do radio. It's different radio files, and they're all about like 40 minutes. Now, when I release a 40-minute episode, it's probably going to be like, I don't know, like if I use the settings I talked about, like maybe 20 megs, something like that. They're like 3 and 4 megs. I have no idea what kind of compression that they're using on this, so I don't know. I'd like to know more. But yeah, this is just what has worked for me. What I've found is a good compromise between like the quality that sounds good to me and like keeping the file size relatively low compared to what we're doing, which was like absurd. Hundreds of megs an episode is just not, people will complain, so. But I am an amateur when I've been making stuff, but I'm very much like not a professional creator. But these are just the things that I've learned over the last couple of years and that other podcasters and creators have shared with me. So I hope that they are a benefit to you guys. And if there are no other questions, then thank you all for coming. And you can contact me about this later if you'd like. And Brooke has